morning guys, and welcome to what will be the final Jackanory time with me. Tomorrow is a special World Book Day celebration where many of the teachers will be involved in their own Jackanory storytelling. So during the terrible lockdown phase we've been sharing a range of different Roald Dahl stories. We started with George's Marvellous Medicine and the marvellous antics that went on at that farmhouse. Then we met the Twits and their rather strange kind of life and their rather nasty ways. After that, we told the beautiful story of SEO Trot and how SEO went on a rather strange adventure to end up where he did at the end, and how he proved to be a link between two people, shall we say. And last of all, we read The Giraffe, The Pelly and Me, about that strange band of friends that turned out to be heroes in what was rather a unique story, shall we say. So, rather than read another story today, I'm going to give you the great Jackanory quiz. So, you're going to need a pen or a pencil or a whiteboard pen, because you're going to need to write down your answers to a series of questions I'm going to give you. Now you might want to write them on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper or anything you've got to hand if you're at home or at school. So get some writing equipment now guys, because you'll need to write the answers down. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that, and whilst you're doing that I will say there's going to be 12 questions. There'll be 3 questions about each of the 4 books that we've read. Now they'll all be about Find and Fetch Dog, so you'll have to think of what was the name of, what was this called, what was that called. You'll have to retrieve it, bring it back and write it down. Now there are no prizes for this. You don't win a car at the end of it. You don't win a holiday to Benidorm for 2 weeks, not that you could go anyway at the moment. You don't win £100,000. You're not going to be a millionaire. You're not going to beat the eggheads on television. It's none of that. It's just for the pride of knowing you are a great Jackanory quiz champion. Okay, right. If you've got your pens, your pencils, and something to write on, we're going to make a start. Now the first 3 questions are all about George's Marvellous Medicine. I'm going to go in what we call chronological order. So we're going to start with the first story that we read. Okay, and they're not easy questions. They are not easy questions. You will say at the end of it, Mr. Denton, that was not an easy question. I can hear you saying it already. So, question 1. The family in George's Marvellous Medicine. I want you to write down what the family's name was. Like my name is Denton. So what was the family name in George's Marvellous Medicine? And the dad in particular used that name quite a lot. Roald Dahl used his name quite a lot. It's not his first name, but the family name. See if you can write it down. There are no points if you spell it right, but have a go. I'm going to do the same. It's like blankety blank this. Ask your mums and dads about that one. Writing down the words that you think it is. Okay, have you had a think? Right. The answer to the family name was Cranky. You might remember in particular when Dad came home and he was initially furious and then excited about things, he's called Mr. Killy Cranky. So the family name is Cranky, and it's spelled K-R-A-N-K-Y. But don't worry too much if you haven't spelt it correctly. The main thing is you've remembered it. Cranky. 1 point if you have that correct. Now, wipe the whiteboards, or let's go on to the second line if you're on a piece of paper. The second question. This is a multiple choice question. Very exciting, no expense spared. I know that's what you're thinking. So, Grandma, when she was given the medicine, first of all we saw smoke appearing and lots of strange effects. But I want to know what was the main thing that happened to her first from a choice of three. Did she shrink? Did she grow huge, massive, a giant? Or did she turn green? You need to write down whether she shrunk first of all, whether she grew very tall, or whether she turned green. And I want you to write down your answer now. No peeping. I can hear your brain steaming. Right. Time for an answer then. The answer to question 2 was she grew huge. She became that giant that popped her head through the roof of the farmhouse, if you remember, and she had to go into the hay barn and stay there for a while, and she needed the crane to help her. She grew huge, or she grew large, or she became a giant. Something like that in your answer. She shrunk when she had a later version of the medicine. And as far as I know, she didn't turn green at any point. She went a few different colours for a short while, but she didn't turn permanently green. She grew huge. 2 points available. Have you got both of them so far? Remember, it's 1 point for each correct answer. Next one. So question 3. I wonder who's got 2 points so far. I wonder who's got 1 point. Has anybody got no points so far? Does anybody not even care and just enjoys listening to me rant about books? Okay, question 3. Now, when they had seen the success of George's marvellous medicine and Mr. Killiecranky came back, he asked George to test it on another creature, an animal. What animal did they test it upon? So after Grandma, they tested it on an animal. What was the animal? No clues on this one. You're thinking, aren't you guys? Was it that? Was it that? Was it that? You'll kick yourself when you know the answer. Okay, shall we have a look at the answer to question 3? Question 3's answer was, it was a hen. I'd accept a chicken as well if you said chicken, but you might remember the strange things happened to the hen, and you might remember most of all my impression when I was squawking around the place. I looked like I was about to lay an egg. It was a hen. They tried it on lots of animals after that, but it was the hen first of all. So that's a point if you've written hen. I would also accept chicken. Okay, right. Okay, so that's George's Marvellous Medicine. 3 questions about that fabulous book. Probably my personal favourite of them all. So let's have a look at some find and fetch questions now from the second book that we read, The Twits. Now, the first question relates to Mr. Twit and the diet that he enjoys, okay? Now, it wasn't pot noodles, it wasn't Brussels sprout and brown sauce sandwiches, but it still was something not very nice. Can you remember what he liked to have every week? And it involved him capturing this ingredient beforehand, and then Mrs. Twit doing magical things with it so he could eat it. What was the special thing he liked to eat? Okay, see if you can write that down. I'll be honest, if you've had Mrs. Denton's cooking, you often feel like you've had something like this. Right. I've written down my answer. And of course I know the answer because I wrote the quiz. Does that mean I win? I don't know. Okay, right guys. Answer number 4, what did Mr. Twit like to eat his regular diet? It was bird pie. Do you remember he used to capture the birds? And the first part of the story was all about the animals trying to save the birds from being captured and eaten. He liked his bird pie. Didn't say if he liked it with gravy, but he liked this rather disgusting sounding bird pie, didn't he? Point if you put bird pie. If you've put meat and potato pie, it's good but wrong. Okay? If you've just put pie, it's good but wrong. If you've put burger and chips, that's definitely wrong. It's bird pie. Okay? Then you got, don't change your answers now, mums and dads. I can see that you've been changing answers and making out you've got a point for it. I'm watching very, very carefully. Okay, right. Question 5. Now, Mugglewump and his family, Mugglewump being the very famous performing monkey, and his family that were captured and trained by Mr. Twit. Now, helping Mugglewump was a very special bird. And this bird, remember, had a very posh accent and helped carry out Mugglewump's plans later on. I want you to tell me what was the name of that bird, what type of bird it was. Okay, what was it called? Have a think. I'm going to write it down too. You're sneaking at my answers, Dad. Okay? I can see. So we say, watch Mr. Denton's hands, and then we'll be able to work out what letters he's writing. It will be scientific, even though it is a school. Very exciting, isn't it? Very exciting. I can see a series being commissioned after this pilot. Okay, right, here we go. So, question 5. What sort of bird was it? See if you know the answer. The answer was the roly-poly bird. The roly-poly bird. And he was very posh, wasn't he? Make sure you've got roly-poly. But roly bird doesn't count and poly bird doesn't count. It's got to be roly-poly bird, okay? For 1 point. I wonder how many people have got 5 points so far. Wow, okay. If you've got 4 or more, okay, you can't go next door and brag, but just call out really loud so the neighbours can hear, okay? Here we go. Question 6. Now, question 6 is all about the plan at the end of the story. Now, Mugglewump wanted to get his own back on the nasty Twits. So, whilst they were out shopping, the birds and the monkeys all did something very special to the house, and Mugglewump planned it all. What was it that they did to the inside of the house that confused the Twits? What was it? What was the plan? So as the Twits returned and they opened the door, something had happened to the inside of the house. Write down what it was. More words for this one, guys. I can hear arguments in family houses everywhere now as you deeply discuss what happened to the Twits in their house. The real big topics of the day. Okay, right. Top of my pen. The answer to question 6 was Mugglewump and the other animals, they turned the house upside down. They turned the rooms upside down. Remember, they stuck everything to the ceiling and it really confused the Twits. So as long as your answer says in some way they turned it upside down, they stuck it on the ceiling, that would do. If you say they changed it round, that wouldn't be good enough because they could change it in different ways. It's got to be about turning it upside down or putting it on the ceiling for a mark. But then, I'm not in the house with you, so I don't know at all if you're cheating or otherwise, do I? So there we go. You'll all be on your phones checking out the answers. I know what you're doing. Okay. So, that's number 6. They turned it upside down. So we're halfway through the quiz. We've looked at 2 books so far. I wonder how many people have 6 points so far. Does anybody have no points? And if you don't have no points, well, you'll probably not tell me, will you? Okay, right. We're moving on to the 3rd book. The 3rd book we looked at was SEO Trot. A lovely adventure about a lovely little slow creature. And I'm not talking about Mrs. Denton again, parents, okay? Right, here we go. See, I'm going to be in terrible trouble tonight when I get home, aren't I? There we go. Right. So, I'd like you to write down the names of the 2 old people at the centre of the story. The gentleman and the lady who lived in the flats, one above the other, and they talked to each other from the balconies and were at the centre of the story. There's 1 mark if you get both of the names. Okay, you've got to have both names to get the mark. Here we go, the names of those two characters. Write it down. Right, I've written it down as well, okay, so I hope you can remember. 1 point for both answers being correct. Let's turn over the answer. The answer is Mr. Hoppy and Mrs. Silver. Okay, you must have both names correct to get yourself a mark. How many of you are thinking I got one of them and I couldn't remember the other? Okay, there we go. Mr. Hoppy and Mrs. Silver. And of course, they were married, weren't they, at the end of the story? How delightful for them that they could live in wedded bliss and watch Emmerdale for the next 30 years. How good. There we go. Right, the next one. Easy one, this. It's an easy one. It's an easy one, is this. You can turn to people in your room and say, it's an easy one, is this. Now, SEO Trot. Part of the story was about things being told backwards. So, what is SEO Trot if you turn it round and do it forwards? So SEO Trot is something backwards. Turn it round and write it forwards. What actually is it? What word does it spell? Write it down. Right. Let's see what you have for that one. It's a bit of an easier one, I think, this one. I think you'll probably know it. The answer is tortoise. SEO Trot, forwards or backwards, is tortoise. There we go. So hopefully you got your mark for that one. And of course, the tortoise is at the centre of the story. Okay. Right. And the last question from SEO Trot links to the tortoise. What a fabulous link, Mr. Denton. Okay, it's very cohesive, this quiz. There you go, there's an English skill in the middle of it. Right, I want you to write down the name of the tortoise at the centre of the story. What was the tortoise's name? I know that he was not called Norman. Okay, it's a good guess, but it's not Norman. Alright, there we go. Right, have you written it down? The name of the superstar tortoise at the centre of SEO Trot? The cute tortoise was called Alfie. Alfie the tortoise. There we go. And you're all going, well, like that. You're all clicking your fingers as if in some way it will bring time back and you can have another go. There we are. The answer was Alfie. So that's 9 questions gone. How many marks out of 9 do you have? That many. I'm very impressed. Thank you for calling out your numbers so far. Right, now in chronological order we move to the final story and the final 3 questions. The giraffe, the pelly and me. I can hear you all thinking, oh brilliant, this is the one we've just listened to. It's freshest in my mind. But then you're also saying to yourself, but I switched off after George's Marvellous Medicine, so I've forgotten. Haha, we shall catch you out now. Here we go. Now, the giraffe, the pelly, the monkey and Billy, together, all 4 of them eventually, but 3 of them first, they had a special company. A company that did a special job. What was the full name of the company? You remember seeing it on the window on the shop when Billy first walked past. He saw the sign when he first met the giraffe, the pelly and the monkey. What's the name of the company? Bit of writing for this one. No marks for spellings. Oh, this is like writing Shakespeare, this one. Here we go, I'm on the last word. Whew, whew. I'm tired now, I need a rest. Right, here we go. The answer to question 10, the name of the company and the giraffe, the pelly and me, was the Ladderless Window Cleaning Company. That was the name of it. So as long as you've got Ladderless Window Cleaning Company somewhere in your answer, I'll accept that as a mark. The Ladderless Window Cleaning Company. And of course, we know why they were ladderless, due to the giraffe's amazingly long neck and their sort of very practical, real-life approach to window cleaning. There we go. Not sure they could they window clean at the moment? Would it be social distancing? I'm not sure. Do giraffes social distance at this point? There's a question. There's a deep question. There we are. We're Googling it now. Do giraffes social distance? There we are. Right. Question 11. Okay, we met the Duke. I have to say I like the Duke, and I like doing the Duke's voice. It was my favourite part of the story. I had great fun doing the Duke's bumbling voice. Okay, so he was a Duke, but where was he a Duke of? He was the Duke of what we call a county, an area of the country. What was he the Duke of? Write down that county. It's a good character. Mrs. Denton's grown a moustache just like his. When you come back, you'll find it. It's all curly at the ends. It's very good. Sorry, she might not be watching this. She'll be busy planning somewhere. Okay, here we go. Right, so the Duke of Hampshire. The Duke of Hampshire. Hampshire is county right on the south coast of England, a long way away from Lancashire, a long way away from where I was born in Yorkshire. I can hear you booing, parents. Don't boo, it's not nice. Okay, the Duke of Hampshire. Okay, it's right, Hampshire for a point. Because I think it was Hampshire Hall, wasn't it? Hampshire Hall in the story. Even I'm forgetting already. It was like Buckingham Palace, wasn't it? Hampshire. Okay, so that's number 11. And if anybody's clever and has 11 already. So the last question now, the last question. Okay, now when Billy went past the old sweet shop, he saw the sign of what it used to be called. And the old name for it was used several times in the story. Can you remember what the sweet shop was called? It was a funny word. We'll write it down now. It was a strange word and it meant old sweet shop. And it was faded on the sign. And it was even used again at the end when Billy reopened the sweet shop. I think he called it this. Okay, right. Had a think. Tough one, that, isn't it? Tough one. Because it's not a word you would often think of. Right, let's share the last answer in the quiz. The answer is the Grubber. The Grubber was the name of the sweet shop. Okay, the Grubber. There we go. So, that is the quiz. You've had 3 questions about each of the books with a total of 12 questions. So how many out of 12 did you get? Count them up. Count them up. Go through one by one. How many out of 12 was it? Done okay? Now, if you got 12 out of 12, it means you're the greatest genius in the history of the world. You are officially a Roald Dahl historian, classic novel genius. Well done. Can't get you a badge for that. It's too big. There's too many words. And you're so clever now, it means that when the Prime Minister resigns, you can take over as Prime Minister. That's what it means, because I think that's what our current Prime Minister did to get himself the job. Okay, 12 out of 12. Well done. Brilliant. If you got 11, it means you can say, oh, I'm almost a perfect genius. Almost. Okay. If you got 10, you could say, wow, that was top notch. And you can do some high elbows rather than high fives around the house. Okay. If you sort of got 9 to 7, you can say, yeah, did pretty well. Did pretty well. Brag about it to your mates. If you got sort of 6 to 4, you could say, well, did alright, I did okay, I enjoyed it. And if you got 3 or less, we won't even bother commenting upon that. It means next time Mr. Denton makes a YouTube film, you've got to watch it more carefully, is exactly what that means. Okay, I'm joking about all those things, of course, apart from the Prime Minister bit. So there we are. That's me being naughty. It's the end of Jackanory. So that's it. That's the end of my little Jackanory session. I hope, with the best will intended, that we never have to reopen Jackanory in this form again. We might do specials on certain days, but I hope we never have to open it again because we can't see you guys in your classes each and every day. So I hope you've enjoyed it, but it will be nice to see you back in person rather than looking at a screen and filming things. So thanks for joining me on the Great Roald Dahl quiz today, and the next time I will see you, we'll be back at school next week on Monday the 8th of March. Enjoy your stories tomorrow in World Book Day, and I will see you very soon. Well done, Roald Dahl geniuses. Take care.